Hello everyone, my name is Timothy Lee Grant. So today I did a video on the Java project that I'm doing, and in that video I was a little bit stuck because I was trying to figure out, okay, I was coming into the error where I was trying to load in a web page, so an HTML web page. I would be able to go and hit that endpoint in my Java server. I hit the endpoint, yes. I was able to get and generate the message that I was expecting, okay. But then I was trying to render an HTML file onto as the response, but it didn't work. And it was like, okay, well, I was going through the steps and I was like, well, I don't see where this is going, like where the problem is occurring. Let me make myself smaller. So I was here, right? I was hitting this endpoint, this greet endpoint, and I was trying to I printed out to the world, right? Or to the console. The greet route has been hit. Okay, cool. So that's working. Then I was trying to I would get the name. So that's from the URL, and that was working. I printed out the name, and it was all good. Okay, then I would add the attribute, and so then I would do that to the model. Okay, and then I was running this command, so I knew that I at least hit here before I hit an error. I didn't know if the model was the problem, or you see, I did return and then greeting, and then this says that it maps to greeting.html. So I have greeting.html here in my templates, okay? And this is off of this HTML file. Now, I was trying to figure out, like, when I went here and I would do it, what I would see is I need to actually run it. So what was it? No, not Nodemon. This is Java, so I need to do that Maven build, right? It's just like m maven w spring boot run. Is it like that? Okay. So now I'm going to come here, then I'm going to come here and then greet with Timothy, and it has this white label error. So it's not actually loading this web page. Now, I got a comment here. So Dragonblade, who has given me a lot of very valuable information throughout these videos, he put the problem is that or the problem that you are having is that Copilot is assuming that you have all of your dependencies, but you don't. You're missing the Thymeleaf package dependency in my Palm. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Hold up a second. Here, in my dependencies, okay, I have these two. I had no idea that I was supposed to add that Thymeleaf. Okay, so let's go and try to fix this. So this is Java, this is my JavaScript one. This is Java. Yeah, this is Java. Okay. So now what I'm going to try to do is not only figure out, like, okay, how to make it work, but I have a few things that I'm trying to figure out right now. Is, okay, well, I had this error. How should I have troubleshot it? How should I have gone about? Oh, hold on. The Thymeleaf in your class path. Check for this in the Palm. Okay. Okay. Well, it's not in the Palm, so it is not in the Palm. How can I add it? So I'm going to copy and paste this into here. Okay. So now yes, I want to resynchronize everything. Okay. So now I believe I need to exit out of this and then restart it. Okay. So now I'm going to come here, and then reset. Okay. So, where is it? Thank you. That was the problem. It's working now. Okay, but that doesn't, we still need to investigate, like, can I make sure that that doesn't happen in the future? How can I, right, like, okay, so I was using, so Thymeleaf, I just assumed was kind of just like a automatic, like HTML, like you could automatically read it. I didn't know that it was a package or something. Okay, so why did this error occur? Why does Thymeleaf need to be added, right? Like I know that Thymeleaf is probably some external software, but I was just assuming that it was just HTML that could automatically be read. What is Thymeleaf? Like, is it a format type or is it a software? Okay, so why does Thymeleaf need to be added? Because Spring Boot is not, or is modular by design. It doesn't include everything by default. So Thymeleaf is not part of the core Spring Boot framework. Okay, so it's a separate library, view rendering engine. Okay. So it's a separate thing. And so, like, for example, I want to do security eventually. So adding authentication and authorization. And I will need to add this Spring Boot starter security. So I guess the moral of this story is if you're having an issue with with a Spring Boot operation, try to make sure that you look at the included packages. Okay. So, all right, we were able to do that. That's pretty cool. So now I'm just gonna do a second one. So I'm just gonna do at and then get mapping, and then secondary, okay, and then public string secondary, okay, and then I can access this, but I'm not going to right now. So this model, I'm not okay, I'm just gonna try doing it like this. So get secondary, like this, and then return greeting 2. Okay. I'm gonna see if, but then greeting 2 needs this name, and I'm just gonna say no. Sounds like someone's knocking on the door, but no one is there, so. Anyways, I'm just gonna say H1, and not this thime stuff. No, like that. Hello from the second. Okay. I don't know if this is gonna cause it to crash. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not passing anything in, so let's see what happens. And then just run it again. This makes me really like NodeMon, that I don't need to keep reloading stuff. So I'm gonna come here, and then instead of this, I'm gonna do second. Is that what I called it? Secondary. Okay, there we go. Oh, so we're able to load these things. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now, where do I want to go from here? I kind of have the controller, or I have the routes, which are these right here, the controllers. I have the EJS files, which are these templates. I have logic, right? Was that like this one? I guess the thing that I need to do now is come in here and try to understand how the logic is working. I guess that's the next step for me, is to try to figure out where and how this logic is working. And then from there, I'm imagining that I follow a very similar path to the one that I did in my JavaScript project, which I think the next step would be for me to do something with a database. So maybe I was using MongoDB in my JavaScript one. Maybe I can do either MongoDB again and get a better understanding of it, or I could do like MySQL, because I want to do both NoSQL and SQL. So maybe I do that. We'll see. But for right now, we need to figure out like how this is working. So let me take a sip of coffee, and then let's dive into this. Let's dive deep, right? Dive deep. I saw it up. They have all of uh, the leadership principles. There we go. On the wall. I never noticed it, or on the ceiling. I never noticed it, but I was walking, and I saw a whole bunch of words on the ceiling. What is? Oh, it's the Amazon leadership principles up on the ceiling. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Anyways, took a photo with it too. Hold on, I can show you the photo. Let's see. Here it is. I don't know if you can see. Like, earns trust. That was one, and then what's the next one? Think big is down there, and then deliver results. Yeah, that's deliver results, and then the one right under deliver results. I don't know if you can see it. It says dive deep. There it is, dive deep. And then leaders are right a lot, but dive deep. Let's dive deep. Okay. Oh, and then here's me with them. Okay. So, enough playing around. Let's I never took a sip of my coffee. Let's take a sip and then dive deep. Okay. So, now, this get mapping, I'm telling not Express, I'm telling Spring, hey, this is going to be an endpoint. Like, map this to this function. Okay? So now, okay, actually I have this controller up here. And this class, so greeting controller. Okay. So one question that I'm going to have, and let's start writing down our questions. This is the Java one. So number one, I have a greeting controller. What exactly is a controller class, and can I have multiple of them? Okay. How do you use them? There's another one. How do I use them, right? Like, okay, whenever you have something that is singular, it's hard to see how, like, what its true function is, because it it just seems like, oh yeah, it's the thing that you go to. But like, if you have multiple of them, you can kind of see how, oh, I'm using this one, or I'm calling this one, or what's going on with it. So I'm going to see, like, okay, well, what is this greeting controller, and how would I utilize a secondary controller? Because I can just keep adding, oh, maybe it's just like, maybe it's just a separate route, right? Like, okay. I just want to, well, I'm going to ask it anyways because I want to make sure, but, huh. So then what we do is we have this, so this is a class, and now I have this greeting service, and notice that these are not the same. This is the capitalized one, so this is the type. Okay, and then this is little, this is the actual instantiation of it. And now this, I believe, has to do with dependency injection. This means, and I was watching some videos today, so I did the video of the Java in the morning today. And then I spent a couple hours actually on watching videos online to try to understand different things about Java. And one of those things was dependency injection. And what the person in the video was talking about was dependency injection. The way that you can think about this is you're offloading responsibility for creating instantiations of objects. So what you're able to do, what he was explaining was, instead of me going and doing like, I'm going to write something but then delete it. Instead of me doing like private final greeting service, and then greeting service 2 equals new, and then greeting service, kind of like this. Instead of doing this, okay, I can just have it like this, and now I'm not creating the object or instantiating the object. Spring is taking care of all of that logic. So I'm offloading all of the responsibility for creating and destroying and working with those objects. It's doing it. It's kind of the puppet master, and I'm just here utilizing it. So I say, hey, I need this object, or I need this object, and I'm going to be using it. So Spring creates it for me, and it manages it. And all I do is I get in a reference right here, and I just assign it to this class's internal member variable of greet service, which I've already created. Okay. So anyways. And this also shows me how I can use that logic. So actually, I think I need to spend a little bit more time up here. Okay, so public greeting controller, which has the exact same name as this class. So this must be the constructor, right? Two. In this code, does it mean that the function or the method is a constructor? Okay. And then we're gonna paste that in there. Okay, let's actually just ask these two questions, and then we'll come back to it. Because what I need to investigate this, because this actually ties into this greeting.java, right? I believe so. Or maybe not. I don't know. But I need to figure out how this model here ties into how this is the logic. I need to figure that out. Okay. So what is a controller class in Spring Boot? A controller class, okay. A controller is a class that handles incoming HTTP requests and returns a response. Okay, so that's what a controller means. So whenever I have that annotation, I'm telling Spring that this is a class that is going to be responsible for handling requests. Okay. So you define a controller class by using the @controller or REST controller annotation. Okay. So my obvious question is, what's going to be the difference between those two annotations? What's the difference between a controller annotation and a REST controller annotation? I'm guessing it's the next two lines right there. All right, so controller, what is this? Used for returning views, like ThymeLeaf templates. Okay, so because I'm returning, I'm not looking at my screen right now. So I'm talking through this out loud, and then I'm going to make predictions about how my code is working. And then if my predictions are correct, that means that I am comprehending some of the concepts. If my predictions are wrong, then that means that there is a misconception in my understanding, and I need to identify those misunderstandings and rectify them. Okay, so it said, and I'm going to block out the code. Okay, so I'm not looking at the code. It says controller is used for returning views like ThymeLeaf templates. Okay, so what that means is I annotated my class greeting controller with that annotation, the controller annotation. And so what that's going to mean is that the pathways inside of that class, the routes, for example, the greet route or the whatever secondary route, these routes are going to render the ThymeLeaf templates. Okay? And that's why in my code, I annotated it with controller. And so that's my prediction, that I annotated it with controller and not controller REST or whatever the secondary one was for me. the secondary REST controller. So it's not REST controller. My prediction is that it is controller. Let's yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. All right. And that's why we come here and we do this return, and that it automatically renders the Thymeleaf HTML files. Okay, that's pretty cool. So now REST controller uses or used for returning raw data like JSON. Okay. That's actually a really useful distinction. That's pretty cool. So now REST controller. So this one is going to return JSON data. Return hello world, but that's not really JSON data, is it? But this is not really JSON data, right? Okay. So, okay. So I think I was just making sure. Yeah, so you can still hear me. I know I accidentally pressed on that. Hopefully it didn't mess up my audio. Sometimes when you press those audio buttons, the control of the microphone gets passed on to a different, I don't know, thing in the operating system, and it will change what microphone is being used, and then all of a sudden the volume gets really loud or it gets really small. So I kind of want to just make that. I kind of want to make one of those. Let me come into controller, okay, and create another file, and I'm going to call this test.java, okay, and then I have this test class, okay, and then I'm going to come here and call it a REST controller? Was that what we were saying? REST controller, okay? And then in here, I want to do what? I want to have was it get mapping? Get mapping of, okay, test, okay? Not def. I am not in Python. I am in Java, so I need public and then string test return. Here I am, like this, okay? So I'm going to try to hit this endpoint. There we go. So this kind of answers one of the other questions that I had about, remember I said, well, what about these multiple controllers? So now I have two controllers. One uses the REST controller. The other one used the just controller. Wait, hold on. The controller up here, right? Huh, I actually have three. Okay. So these ones, that's why, okay, so here I just returned this, and this is not a template. This is not it's not coming here and looking for this HTML file in my templates because I said REST controller, not the controller, which controller would indicate that it's looking for a template called that. Okay. Okay. I'm starting to put the pieces together. Why is it squiggly here? This method has a constructor name. Oh, I see. So test endpoint. Okay. Maybe like that. Awesome. Yeah, and then I can do the whatever, like, or what was it? It would probably be private, right? So private, and then test like this, and then like that. So I'm doing nothing, but anyways. Okay. So I just wanted to check to make sure, like, okay, I think I'm understanding something. I wanted to actually test it out and make sure that yes, it's actually working, and that my idea of the conception of what I'm doing actually matches the reality. I'm not just like tricking myself into thinking that I'm understanding something. Okay. Awesome. That deserves some more coffee. Then some water. All right. So, can you have multiple controllers? Yes, we just proved that actually. So, controller. Oh, it looks like you can do it in the same file too. You can have multiple classes in the same file. All right, so number 2, is this a constructor? So this one right here, yes, it is a constructor. How do I know? It has the same name as the class. Okay, so if the name is the same as the class, that means a constructor. Okay, so it has no return type. Yep, okay. Not even void, okay. It is used to initialize the object when created. Awesome. Okay, so what is it doing? Example of constructor-based dependency injections. Spring sees. Okay. I need to prepare myself because I think that this is going to be a... Okay. So now we are going back to this. We're looking back at this one again. So we kind of investigated controllers, and now like this line up here, controller, we understand that. Now we're going to come in here and come back to this to understand like what's going on with this. Okay, so this is an example of constructor-based dependency injection. Okay, Spring sees that greet controller needs a greeting service. So greet controller needs a greeting service. Okay. And now when did I call this constructor, right? I think I never call this constructor. I think Spring calls this constructor because it knows that it's supposed to with this controller. So it automatically sees that it takes in this argument and injects it in like a reference. And then I'm able to capture that here. Okay, I think that's what's going on. So it finds a greeting service bean from service. Greeting service bean from service. It automatically passes it to the constructor when creating the controller. Okay. So now here, but this is not JSON data. Oh, I forgot that I even asked that question. Okay, you're absolutely right to notice. Great observation. Let's clarify what's happening. So REST controller here, and I return hello world. No, this is not JSON. It's just a plain string. So the raw string text here returns as HTTP response body. So when I do this, I see hello world. It's not JSON. Yeah. How do I return JSON in Spring Boot? I can do, to return JSON, you need to return an object, not a raw string. Spring Boot with Jackson under the hood, okay, will automatically convert the object to JSON. So we have this, return new greeting, hello world. Now, and greeting class needs to private string message greeting here. This message equals message, okay. And then a getter. Okay, I don't think this one is, we need to spend too much time on that. Because I still want to understand all of this. So we are just creating a greeting service. Okay. And greeting service is where? Is up here. I see that. Okay, greeting service here. Com example demo service. Com example demo. Where is service? Come on. Can I do go to definition? So I created this file in the video, in today's video in the morning. And I was trying to just get something that worked, right? And then investigation later. So now is the investigation part. Okay, I have this service. Okay, so where am I? This one. Here. I'm gonna move this here. I don't need greeting 2 anymore. I don't need greeting anymore. I don't need palm. Do I need this one? I don't need it right now. I don't need test. Okay, so yeah. Hello controller. I don't need this one. Okay, so what's this? This is just running the Spring Boot. Okay. I don't even need that one. I need this right here. So I need to understand what's going on. So I have com example demo service greeting service. So from here, I have com example demo, okay? And then I have service here, and then I have greeting service, which is this one right here. Greeting service, okay? So now, com example demo service is this namespace, okay? And then, so from here, I imported this greeting service. So I'm importing that class, I believe. So I'm able to instantiate that class if I want to, because I have knowledge of it. Okay. And then I am setting this greeting service up here equal to a reference to this class. So I'm instantiating it. So what am I instantiating? And so what exactly will this greeting service be? It will be an object. It will be an object that has methods. And which methods will it have? It will have methods of getGreeting, okay? And now getGreeting will take in one argument, which is name, and it will add hello, name, and then exclamation mark, okay? And it is a service. So this tells Spring Framework some information, okay? So now I come down here and I do message. So I'm creating a string, and notice that this returns a string, right? And I passed in that name. Awesome. So greeting service has a method, and I pass in one parameter, which is name. Okay, but that makes sense. And then I get a string back. Awesome. And then I was able to print it out just as we thought. Okay, so now the next thing that we need to investigate is this model. Okay, so model here. So model is of type org Spring Framework UI model. Okay. So finish my water now. I only have coffee left. All right. So model is, this is the type. So this is like the class. This is the type, okay? And then little model, like lowercase model. So this is an instantiation. And does this mean that Spring automatically creates one when this function is called? Okay. Model. Okay. Let's okay. In this function, I am noticing that model is one of the parameters, but from my perspective, all I am doing is hitting this endpoint in my browser with local host whatever 8080, I don't know, whatever it was, 8080, and then greet. I never passed in or created that model. Okay, so this is what I'm kind of curious about. I'm guessing it's going to be dependency injection. I've heard this so many times, and whenever it's like an object just comes out of nowhere, it's dependency injection. But That's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to play with things. We're trying to learn. We're trying to figure out, okay, well, how is this working, right? Okay. But that's my guess. It's going to say dependency injection. Is it? I'm looking for the word dependency injection. Oh. 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 I didn't see dependency injection. Okay, maybe I was wrong. If I was wrong, then that means that there's misunderstanding it, missing a concept or something. Okay. Let's start from the beginning. So, you're absolutely right to notice that, and this is one of the most elegant features of Spring MVC. Okay, Model View Controller. Let's unpack it. What's really happening with that mysterious model parameter? Okay, why you didn't create model, but it still works. That's because dependency injection. There it is. There it is. There it is. That's because Spring Boot is doing something magical behind the scenes using dependency injection to automatically provide the model object for you. There we go. We got it. We got it. Okay, so what happens when you hit localhost 8080 greet? Okay, Spring Boot sees that your controller method has a model parameter. So that's something that we passed in right here, a model parameter. It creates a model object for this request, injects it into my method automatically, lets me add attributes to it, passes it to the view. Okay. So now this actually brings up a lot of questions. So the question is, does it create a new object each time I hit this endpoint? Also, like, what is the scope of it? What is the scope of this created object? Right? Like, can I access this object from other classes, or each time that I create it? Each time, if I hit this multiple times, is it the same model that I get? And if it is the same model that I get, okay, well, what if I have another controller, like down here, called secondary, and I have a model? Well, is that the same model? And then what if I go outside of this class? What if I go to a different class? Is that the same? Okay. So, sees your controller method has a model parameter. So it just sees that it's there, that it needs it, and it just creates one for me. Injects it into my model automatically, and then lets you add attributes to it, like model add attribute name. So the second question is, when I do the add attribute, okay, how does this work? Okay. So then it passes it to my view template. Okay, so third question is, how does the greeting.html know to use this? I'm going to call it random. I know it's not random, but that from my perspective right now, it seems random. Random object that was injected. Okay. So, Yeah, I never needed to create the model. So what is model? Model is an interface provided by Spring MVC, which I'm guessing it says Spring up here, so wherever it was. Org Spring Framework. Yep, there it is, right there. So it's from Spring, okay? And they just have something called model. So this is like a class. And that actually kind of answers this question, I think. So there's a method within the model class called add attribute, and I can add name, and the name is going to be that string that I created. Okay. Okay. So it's used to pass data to my controller like ThymeLeaf. Okay, so name Timothy. So then in my greeting HTML, I can access it with Thyme text and then the variable name, which the value, so key value, key is name, and then it will place the value in. Okay, so that, okay. We can delete this one. Okay. Add attribute. All right, that one kind of went. We got that one as well. So now this one. Let's read the analogy first. So in Express, you might write response render greeting, and then the JSON or the JavaScript object. This is not JSON. That was one of the things that actually threw me. I troubleshot. I believe it was like two episodes of me just troubleshooting because I didn't understand the difference between JSON and JavaScript object. I thought that they were the same thing. Turns out no. So JSON is just a string, right? It's just a string in this format. A JavaScript object, like the name might imply, is an actual object. And that object has these like values, okay? So you can index it. It's not a string, it's an actual like dictionary, essentially. So, anyways, come here. So Spring, I'm creating this name. So I'm creating this like object or dictionary and adding it to my model. And then greeting automatically takes the model. Okay, and then from my greeting, wherever that is, was it resources, templates, greeting here, I'm able to come in here and get the name, and it looks for model, like the value in model. Okay, cool. All right. So, you're digging into the life cycle of objects in Spring MVC, which is critical for understanding performance, memory, and thread safety. Let's break it down. Before we break it down, I'm gonna take another like 20-second breather. Alright. Okay, let's start looking at it. Does Spring create a new model object each time? So yes, a new model object is created each time or each HTTP request. So when you hit your endpoint like this, yep, Spring creates a new model object, injects it into my controller method, lets me populate it with attributes, then passes it to the ThymeLeaf renderer. and then it discards it after we've sent it. Awesome. Okay, well, actually, that makes a lot of sense. This ensures that each request is isolated. There's no data leakage between the users or request. You don't need to worry about thread safety for model. Awesome. Okay, well, actually, that's a lot. Okay, yeah. No questions. No follow-up questions so far. What is the scope of the model? The model object is request scope. So the scope request scope, okay? The meaning is it lives only for the duration of a single request of that HTTP request. Awesome. Then we also have other scopes, which is like session scope. So this lives across multiple requests from the same user. So a user has a session, and I don't, that's actually a really good thing to point out is I haven't dealt with sessions. And that's something that I do want to eventually get into is, okay, well, a user should be able to connect to my service, right? Or my server, and they should be able to continue to run, right? Like when you log into whichever website, you don't just, and I don't even know exactly how that works, right? That's kind of something I'm very curious about is, well, right now I'm just hitting random endpoints. Okay, well, next step is now I'm a user, I log in, and then I try to like there's some it's the server saves my state, and I'm guessing it has to do with like when I send the get request, maybe I put in like a token. I've heard this before, like JavaScript token or Java tokens, Java web token, JWT or something, I think it is. I've heard it, but I don't exactly understand how those are working. That'll be in the future, not now. But this just brings up a good point. Like, okay, well, there's session scope. It exists. When we get to that point, we might be interested in this. Okay. So application scope lives for the entire duration of my app. So in this case here, the model only exists while handling that one request. Okay, so if I want to share data across multiple requests, I can do session attributes to store data. Okay, so HTTP session to manually manage session data. Model attributes, okay, pre-populate model data for multiple handlers. Okay. So I think we understand. So far, like that part, I understand. Awesome. So I think I am going to leave it off here in this video. Maybe we'll figure out where we're gonna go in the future in the next video. I'm thinking maybe I do start looking at like what is a session. Like I think that's gonna be the next video is like what is a session? How do I do the authentication? That's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I didn't feel competent. Like there were so many other things that I was trying to learn, like how do you render a web page, how do you access a database, how do you connect those databases. And it's kind of cool right now because my JavaScript project and my Java project are kind of merging into the same concepts, right? Like I don't know, I just think it's kind of cool. So it kind of is where the language doesn't matter. And I'm using two completely different frameworks. One is Spring Boot, the other one is, well, Spring Boot with Tomcat, the other one is Node.js with Express, right? But actually, they're accomplishing very similar things and operate in very similar manners. And I'm able to use the concepts that I learn in one to be able to do the concepts that I learn in the other. But then they each have very different flavors, and you're able to like see differences and similarities between the two, and it kind of helps reinforce understanding between the two. Very similar to like what I was just saying with having multiple like classes here. It's if you have just one, you just kind of take it on face value that, oh, that's the way it is. But if you have multiple, then you kind of see how the things work together. So I don't know. I'm able to, uh, I think, move to what is a session. So that's going to be the next video that we're now going to start jumping into. Okay, let's figure out what this is. I've been curious about it for a little while. Now let's actually get into it. Let's learn about it. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. That's going to be tomorrow. Today is, yeah, okay, cool. It feels like it is Sunday because Friday was 4th of July, so it was a holiday. And so I was able to study that day. I was able to study Friday instead of going to work. So it feels like that was Saturday and then today is Sunday, but actually I get 3 days of studying. So I studied on Friday, I studied today, and then I can study tomorrow. So 3 days of study. Awesome. But it just feels, it felt like a Sunday, and that's why I was like, wait, do I have tomorrow? And then I look, well, yeah, I guess I do have tomorrow. So cool, I have an extra day. All right, that will be tomorrow's video. If you want to see that, if you're curious, then subscribe, and we can go along on this journey together. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of the day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and see ya.